The 2024-2025 school year has come to the close. Hello, I'm Bethany, and I am a lower elementary Montessori teacher, so I teach grades 1, 2, and 3 all in the same classroom. And today I'm going to be sharing my favorite moments from each month in my classroom. So before I get started, how I'm doing this is I'm breaking it up by months. So I thought it might be fun for if next week on Thursday, June 12th, 2025, at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, you can come and share your ideas month by month with other Montessori teachers. We will meet via the internet and we will share ideas, and maybe it will inspire you to do different things next year for your classroom in the different months. So let's get into it. So in August, I always start off with the great lessons. I just include the first great lesson here because that's when we usually do it. But I believe this year I also did like the second great lesson. And then I kind of spread out the math and language great lessons through the next following months, but I don't talk about that in this video. Also, Maria Montessori's birthday is in this month, and we made a cake this year. Sometimes we make cupcakes. It all just depends on the class. And this also helps me get a feel for my class and how it's going to go the rest of the year with like different activities. In September, we actually had something we've never actually done before, which was having worms in the classroom. My classroom was picked with two other classrooms in my area, um, in my county, to do the Worms in the Classroom program through a recycling center, and it was a lot of fun. We had the worms for 3 months. It was very interesting. It was gross at times, but the kids loved to hold them. And at the end of the video, in the later months, I talk about other animals we had in the classroom. And in comparison, these were not as exciting, but we got to keep them for a lot longer. So we got to learn a lot about worms, and Montessori teaches the annelids. So that's what we did. And also in September, we had a constellation day sprinkled throughout the year. I had a few different like celebration days, and this was the constellation day was the very first one. We did a lot of different activities. As you can see, I had like a light table and people poked holes to make the different constellations. And then we drew the constellations we had where they're located in the sky and a bunch of other things. For October, um, this was kind of a thing I did for the parents, but I'll talk about the practical life. First, this year, every month, I did a practical life in my classroom. I did it for most months. I think I stopped after February though, so the last 3 months didn't have a practical life thing with it, but that's okay. But I broke it up into healthy body, healthy mind, hand-eye coordination, um, a practical life skill like a house skill like tying a shoe, things like that, and music in Spanish, and then also like a business thing because some of the kids that I had this year, the previous year, wanted to make their own little businesses as like a project. So I included some things like needs and wants or products versus services just to get them in the mindset of this is what it is. My favorite hand-eye coordination was juggling, but my other favorite hand-eye coordination was badminton, and that was a lot of fun. I think I liked the hand-eye coordination the best. I also liked the music, and healthy body was nice because I like to exercise, so teaching them different exercise moves was also fun. And then also in October, the school decided that they wanted to have the parents be more educated on the Montessori method. So, um, I laid all this out in my classroom. If you see in the picture, the first row closest to us is like all the language, all the way from the metal insets where they practice their first handwriting all the way through third grade math. Now my school stops at third grade. Third grade language. I stopped at third grade language, but some goes all the way up. I know some Montessori schools go all the way up until sixth grade or beyond. So for math, I showed some of the fourth to sixth stuff, like the decimal stuff and fractions, but like decimal checkerboard and fractions, but I didn't do that for language. And then for math, I started again all the way from like the spindle boxes in the early childhood classrooms all the way up into the math. And then the last line is all like the cultural stuff. And then all the way in the far corner, them lay I had laid out like the timeline of life and the different grade lesson things. So for the first part, I actually talked about the planes of development to give them the understanding, and then another teacher talked about like the sensorial and practical life aspects. And half of the people went to the early childhood room first, one of them, and looked at that stuff, and then they would switch halfway through and listen to me talk about math, language, and cultural. I was the only teacher in here, and it was a lot. Like I think I had 15 minutes to explain it all, and in those 15 minutes I gave it once, and then I had to do the whole thing again for the second group for 15 minutes. But I will tell you that that built a lot of credibility with some of the parents. So they're like, you know a lot. And I'm like, I do know a lot about this stuff. Not that they didn't trust me before. There was just one situation where I knew some parents were a little skeptical, like, what exactly is my kid learning? They're like, whoa, this is a lot. And I'm like, it is a lot, but it's amazing because they want all that knowledge. They want to know why things work, but it was pretty cool experience. And then in October, we did a thankful turkey. So every single day of October, I made all the students write a thing they were thankful for. So this was our beginning turkey in the picture, and then it just grew and grew and grew. And then I wrote with my assistant things we were thankful about each kid on like one of those big, I think it's like 9 by 17 papers, or no, 11 by 17 papers, and printed that out. So that was nice. So then they each felt special, like the individual thing we were thankful for them for. And some was like your spelling skills or your dancing skills, just things that we knew would mean a lot to them. And then a fun thing I always like to do is compare measuring cups to fractions because people bake a lot during this time. And then also something new I did this year was a South America Day. Now this just wasn't for my class. My class made 4 activities for the toddlers and the early childhood classrooms. So one was El Sapo, which it means like toad in Spanish, and there's gold coins, and there's this gold coin game where you actually throw gold coins into the holes or the frog or the toad's mouth. But we kind of remade that, and I stuck gold on coins. I stuck gold stickers and wrapped that in tape, and then cut out boxes, and the kids got to throw those in. And then Peru is known for potatoes, so they got to stamp out different stamps with potatoes. And then the other one was matching animals to each layer of the rainforest. I love doing the different layers in the rainforest. And then the other station was just coloring the different flags of South America. It was a very fun time. Each class stayed out there for 15 to 20 minutes. So it was like an hour and a half that my students were out there, and I had each group of students switch stations. Well, did I have them switch? I did have my group switch stations. Yes. So they didn't get like bored at their one station. Although it would make sense for them just to stay or move with their group of kids. That might be a better idea. But I was planning on doing it for more countries, but I only got to South America this year. So hopefully next year we can do like maybe once a month and do the different ones in the different countries. December, I will mention that we always do our class play. Now this gets starting to be right after Halloween. The students write their own play. They make their own costumes, their props, everything. This year we did outer space, and each kid was a planet or astronauts or the Milky Way, and it was just a lot of fun. And usually we would write the song at the end, but we actually used not a popular like kids song about the planets, and so that was a lot of fun. It went really well. I had a lot of older kids this year, so this was their like third play with me, so it was very nice, and they did an awesome job with that. And luckily my school has a stage, but even if it didn't, you could still just do it in your classroom and invite parents to watch it in there. In January, I just love teaching the rock cycle, so that's why I put it in here, and I had my photo that we did this in January this year, so that's what I put in. A thing we did for Lunar New Year this year was we made a fortune cookies, and it was, I just found like a simple recipe, and it actually worked out super well and pretty cool. We did not write our own fortunes, but you could potentially write your own fortunes and put them in there and everything. And then another thing I will mention, I'm also the chess coach at my school. So we went to the first chess tournament of the year, and some kids made it to the finals, so that was fun. And then for the following months, there's a team one, and then our team made it to the States, so we all went down to a hotel, and that was fun. And then this is the first year we had girls who wanted to go to the girls chess tournament, so we also went down to our state for that one, so that was fun. And then in February, I found a picture. I guess we did volcanoes in February, which usually is like a beginning of the school thing, which is fine either way. And then I've mentioned Valentine's Day because I know some people do celebrate class holidays, or some people celebrate season in Montessori. We do celebrate the class holidays. So one thing we did in Valentine's, I always do a carnival, because the first year I did it, a student was like, "Bye, thank you so much for inviting me." Like it was an actual like party or something, and it wasn't just in our classroom, and so that was really special. So now I always do a Valentine's carnival, because it just kind of transforms to the students like, yes, I am at school, but it also takes them out of that school and like makes that fun for them. In March this year, we did a rain barrel painting competition for a local competition, and that was actually a lot of fun. It turned out way better than I expected. We had to pick like a recycling theme, which we picked the four seasons, so I guess it's an environmental theme. So that's what we did. We did not win. Unfortunately, we lost by 8 votes, but it's hard to get people to show up to events. But we would have won if like one or two more families came. So yes, and then also in March, I always have the knowledge fair, which is basically a science fair. And the first year I did big science fair boards, but then I realized they were in grades 1, 2, and 3. So now what I like to do is they write a story about a science topic. Last year we did a story, excuse me, last year we did just a science topic with facts. Excuse me, it could be anything like the history of something, or a science topic, or social studies, anything cultural. And then in the last part um of the this year, instead of just having science facts, I got to pick a few facts to incorporate into a story. So that was a lot more fun for the kids. And then in April, we did chick hatching. So that was a lot. Um, when we did it as a kid, we would have them in the incubator for a few days, like they're already through, like 14 days through the process. With this one, we started from day one, and it was very stressful on my end. And we checked them. We had 18 eggs, and when we checked them, there were 16 viable eggs. So we're like, wow, we're going to get a lot of chickens. And so the week, the day, like the weekend before they were, it was the weekend of Easter weekend. So we had Friday off of school, and then Saturday, Sunday. I went in every single day because it was the last 3 days where like the humidity had to be at a certain temperature and everything. And the humidity was just not getting there. So when I got there Monday, nothing was hatched, and it was devastating. And then on Tuesday, there was a chicken. So that was amazing. And then there were two chicken eggs that like were pecking through, and they were still peeping by Wednesday, so I helped them out. And I wasn't going to help any more out, but then one more hatched, and they all came out fine. I know you're really not supposed to help chickens out of eggs, but the lady on the farm like was like, just spray them, see if they can come out. And I felt bad because they were still peeping, but two came out fine, and then two I had to help out. So we only ended up getting four, which was enough for me. I thought it would be too little, but it worked out just fine. And they had to leave at the end of the week because that was the weekend of one of the chess tournaments, so I wasn't going to be able to watch them. And they get big so quickly that I was just like, they're gonna hop out of the container and everything. So yes, it was a lot of fun, and I'm glad they got to experience it. And then in May, um, we did last week of school activities, but I'll talk about this one first. This student loved dragon fruit, and then it ended up being his birthday in May. So I finally did a dragon fruit presentation, and he was so excited, and he was like, "Okay, everybody clap that we finally got this presentation." And it was a lot of fun. So just honoring student learning requests. It doesn't have to be as big. I mean, well, this is not really big. Buying dragon fruit's not big, but it doesn't have to be like you have to go out of the way and buy stuff. But it could just be letting the student research something or anything. So just honoring those student learning requests is always a big part of Montessori. And then the last week of school activities, we did quite a few. Um, I have a whole video talking about what we did, but my favorite one was the snack buffet because I love buffets, so that was a lot of fun. And also another favorite, the whole month of May, we made I always make a sewing for practical life of making like a sock animal. So this year we did sock bunnies and they turned out really cute, but I usually line them up and take a picture of them, but I forgot to do that this year. And then again, if you want to share ideas with other Montessori teachers, it's just going to be online, from probably via Zoom, most likely. We'll see from on Thursday, June 12th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and you can sign up at partsofthelanguage.com. And then I hope to see you there, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching.